Well, what a wild start to NFL free agency. And dare I say this blasphemous question, did the Denver Broncos actually improve at the safety position? That and so much more in this video. If you're new to this channel and you are here for the Denver Broncos competitive rebuild, it helps me out a ton if you would like and subscribe. I'm Ben. Let's dive into our first splash of NFL free agency. So we had been under the impression that the Denver Broncos were going to be super quiet at the start of free agency, and almost an hour into this tampering window, we hear news that the Denver Broncos are not staying pat with just Caden Stearns and just PJ Locke. Instead, they are bringing in another Texas Longhorn, Gig'em, to be playing the safety position. And so the Denver Broncos signed a 3-year deal with Brandon Jones from Miami Dolphins. You look at a lot of quotes from Vic Fangio last year, who just raved about him. Remember playing that team, and even though we were down massively, we just, we dropped 20 points on them. And when you're down 70, like, in Madden, you put up a lot of points because you just start throwing the ball. And even with relative health at our receiver position, we did not break this defense. So obviously, it is hard to say that we go from man of the year, multiple-time Pro Bowler, multiple-time All-Pro Justin Simmons to a guy that none of us truly knew. Like, I bet if I asked most of Broncos country, myself included, who's the safety for the Miami Dolphins, I don't think any of us would know that it was Brandon Jones. So it's hard with a straight face to say that we upgraded at the position. Yet, if you take a look at this tweet from PFF and at a couple other things, it seems like this dude might be an absolute beast. He was a former third-round draft pick. Remember, Justin Simmons was a later-round draft pick, and look at what he did. And if you take a look at him week 12 onwards in 2023, including going into the playoffs and, remember, playing Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, that on 234 coverage snaps, he was not scored on a single time. And, they played the Buffalo Bills a couple times towards the end of the year. So you're going against some beefy opponents there. So to have that end of the season is crazy. And he was coming back off of an Achilles injury. And so the one criticism you read about him is Vic Fangio said, hey, he's got to figure things out. He's learning this. And once he learned it and once it clicked, you just see this kind of production, that 234 coverage snaps. That's a ton, 12 week 12 all the way to week 18, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a 40 or 39.8 passer rating against him. I think totally would we take that? Absolutely. So then if you look here, PFF ranks safeties in the league, and they ranked Justin Simmons as their number 42 ranked safety in the league, which I think is absolute bogus. If he was the 42nd best safety in the league, he wouldn't be a Pro Bowl and an All-Pro player, right? That doesn't happen. But Pro Football Focus, from an analytics standpoint, ranked Brandon Jones as the 16th. So I even think, man, if those things were flipped, and let's say Justin Simmons was the 16th overall safety, and you told me, hey, yeah, we're going to lose Justin Simmons, we're going to have a ton more cap space, and we're going to just drop to the 42nd best safety, I'd probably take that, especially when you tie in what Andrew Mason came out and shared with us today, is that now our entire safety room essentially is going to cost what Justin Simmons cost for 1 year. And as you go about building a team and as you go about prioritizing how you spend in free agency, I think safety is an important position, but it is pretty far down that list of what we need to do. That Justin Simmons has been one of the best at his position, and he's been here for 8 years, and we've never made the playoffs with him. So I'm extremely excited here that we have a player who you can at least say in the same sentence as Justin Simmons. I'm not saying he's ever going to be that. I'm also not saying he's going to be what Justin Simmons was for our community, but I think there is a real chance that we look back on this move as all right, let's go. That's super exciting. Really, other cool thing is that our safety room now with Caden Stearns, again, who really showed some flashes, a 2-interception game against the Colts. PJ Locke, who just puts it all out there. You remember, he was the one who got thrown in for Kareem Jackson after one of the hits against the Packers, and he ends that Packers game by intercepting Love at the end, even without taking any first team reps. You see him hop on a bus and go across the country instead of flying because he was ruled out and unable to fly. So you look at that entire safety room now with Johnson being a Denver Broncos safety. They all were at the University of Texas at the same time, all about that age group, right in that 29-30 range, which is, or under the 29 range, which is what you want for safeties. And coming into the NFL draft, Johnson was rated over both of our safeties, who I think we all feel pretty excited about. So definitely very, very exciting. I am coming right between leaving work and going to coach my son in basketball. There's so much. I'm just scratching the surface of Denver Broncos' first day of free agency. I'm definitely going to be hopping back tonight to be recapping what else happened. It looks like, just looking quickly, we lost a kicker. We see some guys back on the board and might be potential for the Denver Broncos to sign even while I'm coaching basketball. Or we see guys off the board. It looks like Kirk Cousins is going to Atlanta, so that is a huge sigh of relief, because I think that means not only will Atlanta not be picking ahead of us with that 8th round pick, but it also means that the Denver Broncos are not going to have another shirt or another name on the proverbial quarterback shirt that is crossed off. I think we've had enough of those retreads to kind of be, live a lifetime with all the retreads we've had. Real quick in the comments, and I will read them before I do my next video. What has been like the most shocking move of NFL day one of NFL free agency? I was shocked that Josh Jacobs left Oakland and went to Green Bay Packers, and then Green Bay Packers moved on from Aaron Jones. Watching that Cowboys-Green Bay game, I felt like Aaron Jones was one of the best running backs I'd seen all year. It felt like he was, he was creating like 6 yards before he's even getting to contact. Like his explosion was unreal. So I can't believe they're moving on from that. And Bakhtiari, I think the interesting thing with the Packers is, like, if you were the Packers, you beat the Cowboys on the road, you feel like, man, Jordan Love's just going to be a year older. Let's run this back. And instead, they got rid of 2 kind of linchpins on that offense. Very, very curious there. Also seeing some rumors now that the Denver Broncos and the Minnesota Vikings are going to be battling between Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy. That, like, one of us is going to end up with, like, signing a retread with Sam Darnold. The other one's going to take a flyer on J.J. McCarthy. Very curious to hear all y'all and what you think about that. Also, big news about a free agent I would love to end up in Denver who's still on the board. The Vikings ended up getting another edge rusher, meaning they are not going to be re-signing Danielle Hunter. So that could be incredible. And then the last thing, everyone said I was absolutely nuts for saying the salary cap was going to go up more than it did, and it did. And the other thing people said I was nuts about was that the Denver Broncos were going to have new jerseys. And now on NFL.com, all Denver Broncos jerseys are, like, massively discounted. And I think that means we're getting new uniforms. A new uniform for a new quarterback. What do you think? Denver Broncos country. Let's giddy up. I'm going to go coach basketball.